he'll sign it afterwards.
That was
That sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay.
How you doing? How are you, sir? Incognito.
How's it going?
Okay, how are you?
Jeff, how are you?
Good, how are you, sir?
Hey, how are you?
Wonderful, how are you?
Good. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, good.
Do you guys get tests, coronavirus? Does FEMA send you coronavirus tests? I had an agency that, are we on?
We might be.
She's about to say she tested positive.
You know I have no filters.
If we're on.
Well, there's our headline.
An agency, the Department of Health told an agency to contact
No, we do
the
not.
county for
No,
COVID testing.
no, we do not. No, that's all through the Department of Health and then through their private providers.
Right.
You know, and then,
I said, it's news to me if we do.
no, we do not have access to that. We can
There's some
request for
people
different
I'd like
agencies
to
to do it.
jam
but
it,
there's-
but
You need to
chew
have
to up their nose.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
you need to have qualified personnel to do it. You need to have a lab to send it to, so. yeah.
I bet Allegheny County can do it.
They have their own health
Yeah,
department, but again, they do a lot of their stuff through some of the other facilities and that too. so,
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, Rick hasn't given us the high sign
Okay.
yet, though. Usually they stand at that window and give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
But yeah, we,
Okay, I thought that was
in order
interesting.
to do the testing and stuff like that they're doing at Walmart and different ones,
Right,
we could put a request into FEMA. And then they do request the Department of Health and everybody else, but then it comes back on who's gonna run it. That's why months ago when the
Yes.
Bible said that's fine, but where do you have the qualified personnel?
Right.
And that's where the
Okay.
Department of Health says, yeah, you can do it, but you gotta
It
find the
was-
people because the Department of Health does not have the appropriate people.
Rick had somewhere else he needed.
yeah, he said, right, I'm just calling,
Oh.
this is what they say, contact
Okay.
the county.
Yes, it is.
Well, maybe we are all right. Fine, Jeff, just to walk down the hall and you think we're okay, you think we're on?
Rick's on the agenda, so hopefully he's doing that.
Oh, okay.
I think Jeff liked to ask. Going back to that.
Yes, he
That
does.
worked for me.
Okay, well, we can do
Is
this.
he gonna use that, tap into other grants?
I think you are.
You think we're on?
I was going to say, poor Johnny's always throwing somebody, but that's not helpful.
Jeff went to check with Rick to make sure, verify we're on, and then Vanessa pointed out Rick's on the agenda.
Oh,
The first item on the agenda is IT, so hopefully they'll come back.
Of course, he can have to run to his office if he has to do something remotely from his computer, maybe.
Yeah.
Because usually it's Ken.
True,
mm-hmm.
that's right. Okay, we'll get an answer.
So you're good. He's coming up anyhow. He has
Great,
something on.
great.
Okay,
Okay.
All right.
all right, very good.
We will, we'll call this July 28th, 2020 meeting, Lawrence County Commissioners to order. Would all please rise for the pledge of allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. Mr. Bott, would you lead us on the pledge?
Sure, will, Commissioner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, within the last week, we lost one of our former public defenders. Attorney Harry Falls
Yes.
passed away. He was very dedicated at what he did, and I was hoping we could keep his family in our thoughts during this time. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Sorry for the delay. I had to go get it on the internet.
Nah, you're good. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Here,
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. We have quorum. I'll note for the record that we are being videotaped and recorded, both for use on YouTube. It's being live streamed out to anybody who wishes to view it, and for use internally in compiling the minutes. Row officer reports and comments. I'm not seeing any row officers with us today. Public comments. If anyone wishes to make a public comment, we just ask that you keep it to county-related business. So if you have an issue with your road, you should go talk to your city council, your township supervisor, your borough council. If you have an issue with Social Security, for example, I'd refer you to Representative Kelly, Senator Toomey, or Senator Casey. And if you have a state issue like receiving unemployment compensation, I'd refer you to your state rep or Senator Vogel. Are there any public comments at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to fiscal and contractual. We have no advertising for bids and proposals, no receipt of bids and proposals, no fiscal reports, no report on quotes. We have 2 warrant registers dated July 22nd, 2020 and July 24th, 2020. I'll give my colleagues a minute to look those over and take a motion to accept the warrant register, and we'll take them both at once.
I have a question, DQE, on the first page of our first one.
I've seen that before, but I can't remember exactly what it is.
It's our fiber,
That's it.
the 200.
I knew it was you, Jeff Parrish.
It's like a 6-figure number.
Yes,
No,
there, okay, all right.
That's money from our FEMA grant, our funding.
Thank you. Okay.
Fiber project.
Which is generally reimbursed and,
Yeah, that money was
Yes.
already back in our.
okay, thank you.
That was going to be my question, so I'm glad you asked it, Commissioner.
Okay, very good. That being said, I will make the motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign, motion carries. Up next, we have approval of the July 21st, 2020 meeting minutes. Again, I'll give my colleagues a minute to look those over and take a motion to approve the minutes.
I will move.
Second. Hearing a motion to second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign, motion carries. We have one written communication today from Frank P. Taylor Engineering regarding Hearthstone Acres Phase 3, Old Plank Road. The letter states, "Dear Planning Department, Act 6768 and 127, which amended the municipality's planning code, direct state agencies to consider comprehensive plans and zoning ordinances when reviewing applications for permitting a facility for infrastructure, and to specify that state agencies may rely upon comprehensive plans and zoning ordinances under certain conditions as described in section 619.2 and 1105 of the municipality's planning code. The Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection's policy for consideration of local comprehensive plans and zoning ordinances and DEP review of permits for facilities and infrastructure provides direction and guidance to DEP staff, permit applications, and local and county governments for the implementation of Act 67, 68, and 127 of 2000. Enclosed, please find a county notification of planned land development for Chapter 102 permits for to be completed by the county and return to our office. If we do not receive a response from you within 30 days, we shall proceed to submit our permit application to DEP without the notification form. We receive a number of these throughout the year, 1 or 2 every meeting, but various agencies and various developers, contractors, construction firms are required to submit permits to us and notify us that they are applying for certain permits, usually regarding DEP regulations or DOT regulations. But we're not an approval authority, we just have the ability to submit comments to be included along with permit applications. But that is not our role to approve these. They're just legally obligated to notify us that they're applying for permits. But again, this specifically is a permit for Heathstone Acres Phase 3 project, which is Old Plank Road, Hearthstone. That's, thank you. At Old Plank Road, I would imagine in Shannon Township.
That would be correct. I'll move to accept it.
Second.
Motion to second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign, motion carries. We have no proclamations or certificates today. Staff reports, are there any staff here who are not currently on the agenda or who are on the agenda and wish to bring up a point outside of the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. I like to keep these things rolling. Move on to the main portion, or the commissioner reports and comments. First up today is Commissioner Spielvogel.
I am, okay, and again, let's talk about the census, get those forms filled out, more so now than ever before with everything happening with the pandemic. We need to make sure that we get our share of funding from our state and federal entities to continue providing services, and that is done through the census. And also, with the uncertainty of the pandemic going in towards the rest of the summer and into the fall, maybe is a good time now to register to vote by mail and get that taken care of. We have an election coming up in November, and we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to vote. And it may be a good time to get that application and get that in. You could do it online. Come here and get a form. Anything that can help keep people safe during the election is certainly something that we should think about. So, those are my thoughts.
Well, thank you for it.
Okay.
Up next, Commissioner Vogler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no comments this morning.
The only thing I'll note is that our business application grant program is closed for the time being. We received roughly $3 million worth of applications to go towards small businesses that were negatively impacted by COVID-19 related closures. And that accounts for roughly 150 businesses. So we're processing those applications, and we should have notices out to the businesses who are eligible for such funds within the next week or so.
I guess I do have something to say, because your comments triggered the dollars that Chairman Boyd would be referencing, of course, are the CARES dollars that originated at the federal level and were then forwarded to each of the states, and then the states, of course, are then distributing those dollars to the counties. One unique set of circumstances involves Lebanon County out in central Pennsylvania. Governor Wolf has chosen, at least so far, to withhold their dollars. And the Board of Commissioners out there have taken the governor to court. So it will be very interesting to see how that plays out. Fortunately, our dollars were not withheld.
Correct.
So, and I think both of my colleagues have noted this at previous meetings, but we express our appreciation to our planning department, because they have been handling a lot of the paperwork involved in this process. So glad you brought it up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Very good.
As we actually, believe it or not, we just hired a new individual to oversee grant management
Yes.
and some other functions of the planning department. And the day she was brought in was the day we rolled out the single largest
Yes.
grant program in county history.
Yes.
So she's been doing a
And
good job
handling
there.
it very well, I must say, to jump into that and do it with the just the attitude that she has had, because she's had to answer numerous phone calls and, assist people along the way and getting documents in and things. And she has, she's done quite an outstanding job. Yeah. So she's definitely an asset to the planning department.
Absolutely, and because of her, because of Amy, and because of
right.
everybody over in that
Absolutely.
department, we were, I think, the first county outside of Entitlement County to roll out
Right.
our business grant program, which I think is a testament to that department.
We won't pat ourselves on the back, but just.
Not massive pat on that. All right, move on to the new business portion of the agenda. We have new resolutions. First up, our Director of IT, Rick DeBello, for a resolution in discussion for possible approval to enter into an agreement with Nelcom Technologies. Rick, what do we have going on?
Yeah, well, this is actually the antivirus, the anti-spyware, and most importantly, the content filtering for our firewall, which allows us to control where people cannot go on the internet. It's also the any updates, support, so on and so forth for the firewall. And it's a 3-year program or a 3-year subscription rather. We really have to do it as far as the content and so forth. Content filter is required or might as well not have firewall.
Yeah. Just to clarify, the cost is $17,289.
Yes,
That's total for August 10th, 2020 through August 9th, 23.
that's correct. Yes, all 3 years.
Any questions from my colleagues?
No, you're recommending that we move forward with it?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank
really
you.
don't have a choice.
Thank you.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Chairman.
We'll make that resolution 2020-208.
208.
Thanks, Rick. You're welcome to stick around for the vote.
Yeah, I'm the only one here, so I got.
Okay.
There we go, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Up next, we have Stacey Morris here with the Controller's Office to talk about a resolution for possible approval of enter into an agreement with Pension Technology Group for the Lawrence County Retirement Fund. Stacey, what do we have going on?
Basically, the software that we currently have, we've got notification that they're no longer going to be supporting us as of July 1st, 2023, which I know that's a couple of years from now, so we had started looking even before that because I had gotten some wind to the fact that they were getting out of the pension software. So we've looked at other softwares and we've demoed like 3 different ones. We looked at demos and they were one that Tyler, who we currently have, has recommended. And so they've been working with Tyler to have kind of a seamless, show of being able to go to the new software. So they also have worked with the Hay Group, Korn Ferry. We do have software that's embedded into our current software, which does some of our estimates and so forth. And they are going to continue that kind of embedding, where some of the other companies didn't have the relationship with Korn Ferry and or Tyler.
Mhm.
So that's why we've kind of chose them. On the dollar side of it, we are already paying almost $30,000 a year for support, which we will be paying anyway. So we're looking at an increase over a 10-year period per year rather. So I think the increase is something around 25 or 30,000, something like that. So it was kind of one of our best choices.
But that increase, just to clarify, this is paid for out of the pension fund, right?
Correct. It's paid out of the retirement fund, which is pretty much fully funded, which you all know that. So, but yes, it is paid out of there. And like I said, we are already paying monies every year anyway. The other thing is they do a 10-year. And if we go with them, we do not have to pay anything till 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's even after that, but they won't have us pay anything during the implementation and development and that kind of thing. So, they are out of Boston, is where they're located, just to give you a feel for where they're from. And I've actually met them a couple of times when I've gone to conferences.
Good people.
Yeah, I like the people in the one company a little bit better, but their product just didn't have everything we needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't want to go backwards is our problem, where some of them don't offer, maybe doing the checks, where we're doing the checks, we don't want to lose that flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So there were some things that they didn't offer, and I think the price tag was even higher than the price tag in this one. And they were out of Texas.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we're being proactive on this. I think that's
Absolutely.
crucial.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I think that we want is to run out to 2023 with the current software package and then scramble to be able to onboard everything.
And the other thing too is with the package that we currently have, everything runs fairly well. I don't really have any problems, that I don't have. But one of the things I would have a problem with is if I do my password 3 times wrong, I'm locked out.
Yeah.
Well, they won't even support that or give us the capability of doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a, because your cat locks on.
You mean it didn't? You're right.
When I did it I did it while during COVID and I locked myself out. And it took me a day and a half to actually get help to be able to get back on.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things I'm running
Sure.
up against right now, which leads us to the sooner the better.
Right.
Because I'm running up against the no support now because the lady that I was my contact, she has actually gone with PTG.
Good.
Which the nice thing is, at least she knows us,
Yes, yes.
knows our product. So she knows what we're used to doing, and I think that she'd be a good asset to be able to work with also.
Good.
Well, I think it's a no-brainer. Any questions from my colleagues,
questions.
comments?
No, no,
All right, we'll make that resolution 2020-209,
okay.
and you're welcome to stick around for the vote if you want to take off. I'm totally understand.
That's me.
All right, up next, we have resolution for discussion and possible approval to enter into a deed of easement with the city of Newcastle for the Newcastle Pedestrian Riverwalk Trail Project. The city assistant solicitor reached out to me a couple weeks ago, asking about an easement for this project. I guess they received a sizable grant in order to complete the Riverwalk project of $1 million. And so they're moving forward with that project. We own property that would go along where the Riverwalk is. And so in order to complete the project on our portion of the property that's owned, they would need an easement in order to achieve that.
To your knowledge, is our solicitor aware of this, Mr. Leslie?
Yeah, what the process was, at least that I was involved in, was Mr. Miller, who's the assistant solicitor for the city of Newcastle, basically compiled everything that we needed to be able to grant a deed of easement, put it into a packet, which was left for me in my mailbox. I basically just handed the packet to Attorney Leslie and said, hey, is this good? And he indicated that it was.
Good enough for me.
Any,
Same thing here, absolutely.
all right, we'll make that resolution 2020-210. Up next, we'll move this to the end, but this is just a read this for a second. Oh, yeah, this is a resolution transfer. This is basically earlier on in the year, we made a change in how the employee contribution to the pension fund was computed. Stacey, correct me if I'm messing any of this up. We made basically a change in how we compute the employee contribution to the pension fund, which in turn lowers the overall county contribution. So initially, for this year's budget, we had $1.3 million budgeted for the county contribution to the retirement fund. Because of the change that we made in the valuation of the employee contribution, we were able to decrease the county contribution. And this amount, $713,949, represents the cost savings in making that change in valuation. So what we're doing here is we're moving that savings from the retirement line item into commissioner's contingency. Any questions on that?
Just for somewhat of a technical note, but when we number this resolution, am I reading this correctly that this will be resolution T 2020-005? Or am I referring to an older resolution?
So mine says R 2020 dash
I'm looking down under item 1.
item 1.
That paragraph has always been in there, Dan.
Yeah.
Carol had that in there, and it's just, that 005 is just the next number in succession of every resolution.
Transfer resolution, okay, which is what the T stands for.
Correct.
Okay, so not to belabor the point, is this resolution T 2020-005 or is it its own resolution?
211.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate
It's
that.
just the 5th transfer resolution that we've done.
That we've done this year.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So any objections, we'll make that resolution 2020-211. All right, one more before we get to the CYS portion of the program. The Director,
May I interrupt real quick? This is more of a procedural note. I don't know, and I'm kind of looking at Christine and Vanessa, for when you do the minutes and you have the recording. I think for a while, we were having folks who had items to bring before us, other than the public. We would have them come up here and speak into the microphone, which allowed their comments to be picked up better. Now, I don't know if you've had an issue in hearing people on the tape. Maybe it is being picked up. But
I haven't really had to.
you haven't had to listen to it, but I'm wondering if to be safe,
Do that.
since the chair is there and the microphone is there, maybe we should have, when Jeff comes up, just to be
Okay.
certain that the comments are being picked up.
All right,
If that's okay. So if you're able to come up and maybe turn that around and turn it on. I remember it is on, because sometimes in the past, I think when people have sat far away, and tried to listen, it just didn't pick up well. So appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Absolutely. All right, we have here a resolution for discussion and possible approval to enter into an agreement for firefighter sales and service company. Jeff, what do we have going on?
It's just what it is for firefighter sales and service. They contract, we're utilizing them. They actually installed a fire protection service, all the stuff in our building and the public safety facility with the sprinklers. It's not a dry chemical, but it's a different extinguishing agent that we have under the floor and in our server room for all the computerized stuff. They have the service, the fire pump. We've utilized them whenever we've had issues with it, just a couple of service issues here and there. And then we realized, well, with the price of it, have them come and do every year just to do maintenance. And actually, I think the insurance company actually looks at that also whenever they do their inspections. We have the boiler inspected with another company that comes in every so many years. So we just thought it'd be a good idea just to nail them down with the price right now. We actually have them coming in this year without the contract. It's just a yearly thing anyhow. But whenever we were doing the PO to do that, I asked them to give us a 3-year price so we could lock them in if the price changed or not. At least this way we have them for 3 years. We're not going to go anywhere else for the most part because they know the system inside out. They installed it. So that's what this is for, is just to lock it in for them to keep the price where it is. I mean, it's crazy enough, but we're looking at $10,000 a year. They come twice to look at a couple of systems. So
Is this paid for out of 911 or is this paid for out of EMS?
it's going to have to be half. It's probably going to be split. We're going to have to look at how to split it, just due to the fact that the building part's EMA and the part is 911. So yeah, that's going to be.
Okay. So we're looking at about $5,000 county contribution for this out of 10,000 per year.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
depending on how it's broken down. So. Yes, sir.
Any questions from my colleagues?
No questions.
All right, we'll make that resolution 2020-212. And you're welcome to stick around, or if you need to take off, we understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
All right, we have our CYS round robs. I missed the first one, but I'm happy to be back for round 2.
You can repeat that all again if you'd like. By memory.
And I promise it was not intentional, and that was the one I missed, although I'm not horribly disappointed.
But I am told, and you told me, that you actually watched the whole thing.
I did watch the whole thing.
Boy. God bless you, because got a little dry. No disrespect.
No, I wanted to see how to run a meeting.
Oh, my goodness. You last week proved that when I'm not here, the meetings are much more succinct. So, because I'm told you had about a 15-minute meeting.
It was on record,
Yeah.
that shortest so far.
16.
I should stay away more often.
No, they just don't have the style.
No.
Sorry about that.
No.
All right, John, we'll go with, how do you want to, we'll do the order that you want to do, just because you guys jumped around, I think, a little bit in the last meeting. So,
Commissioner, I'll follow
okay.
your agenda, and I'll just relate it to the crosswalk.
Okay.
And I serve at the board's pleasure, so if you'd like me to come back or schedule a private meeting to review those 18 from the previous week, I would be more than
Please, yes,
glad to
there
come
you
back
go.
at your pleasure.
That's just like tormenting me, I think. No, we trust you. We trust it.
Yes.
And I don't want to do it.
Okay, 6A on your agenda, crosswalks to 5A on the cheat sheet.
Okay.
Cornell Labraxis Group, contract year 2021. This is a renewal for congregate care. The rate ranges from $307.03 to $331.63 per day. It's in Allegheny County. Both CYS and JPO utilize this program. Last year, there were 2 children from JPO. Currently this year, 1 child from CYS. The total county cost was $39,987.33. Approximately 40% of the total, federal and state combined picked up $59,981.
Okay. Congregate care. All right, we'll make that resolution.
Go ahead, Lisa. Come on.
I was just gonna say, Cornell Labraxis has a multitude of programs that we use. One program specifically that we're able to use is their drug and alcohol program, which is actually funded if the juvenile meets criteria through MA dollars. So we're able to use this facility, but yet not have to pay the price tag necessarily that goes along with that. So we appreciate having their services available for us, for specifically drug and alcohol inpatient services, through Cornell.
At least I just want to say I apologize. I didn't realize you were part of the program. You were part of that part of the program.
I may chime in here and there.
Yeah.
Next up, 7A crosswalks to 4A Presley Ridge. This is a renewal for 2021. Foster care, $80.08 per day, located in Allegheny County. Last year, we had 1 child from CYS. Currently, we have no children served. Total cost to the county was $4,436.43. That's 20% of the total. State and federal picked up a total of $17,745.73.
I have a question. Why is Cornell Labraxis County share 40% and Presley Ridge 20%, along with the other providers at 20%?
Some of the other funding streams, like to the point about medical assistance, and also currently now waiting to have invoices recorded that are through the end of June. So that percentage, once we get full reimbursement from all sources, will be somewhere between 20 and 40, but right now we're using a higher number in terms of cost. If the child is deemed to have medical necessity and managed care picks up a cost, that contributes to the total.
Okay.
Also, when you look at it, 40 eligible, so do the federal dollars pull in to support the cost. Currently 40 is now up to 58 cents per every dollar, where previously they were at 51, 52 cents for every dollar. That change was made in the middle of the fiscal year.
Okay.
So there are a few different reasons why the numbers can vary a little bit, but by and large, you can see pretty consistent, and most are about 20%.
All right, thank you.
If I may, the state also deems certain programs community-based, which have a higher reimbursement rate of the 80-20, versus an institutional type program, that's their 60-40 type program. So obviously the state would prefer you using the least restrictive type programming, but obviously knowing with our population in juvenile probation, sometimes we don't always have that choice of going the least restrictive because of the nature of the offenses, et cetera, and so forth. So sometimes we have to use those higher reimbursement rate places, secure detentions, those types of facilities. So it's how the state categorizes that program, whether it's a community-based program, an 80-20, or an institutional program at a 60-40 rate.
So this is basically the state trying to push us towards certain care options over otherwise.
Based on exactly how much they will reimburse you
Yeah.
for using those types of facilities. Obviously, the push is to go more community-based. However, sometimes we don't always have that option to, for the safety of the community, protection of everybody. We don't always be able to go there straight out of the gate. Sometimes we'll be able to work our way down to those levels of care after having to use a higher reimbursed rate facility. But sometimes, like I said, we don't always have the choice of the matter necessarily. So.
All right, I understand that perfectly. Was there anything else for Presley Ridge? We'll make that 214.
Commissioners, 8A crosswalks to 3A, and I'm going to defer to my colleague first, as JPO has 2 items in 3.
This is also an existing contract that we've been in with Lawrence County Community Action Partnership. The first is for the I Matter program. That is a drop-in center that we have in the community, actually run out of Ben Franklin School, where we have juveniles in under supervision through our office, education, employment. There's usually some type of community service project linked to that program as well. But we're talking a small group of kids, anywhere from 5 to 10, 12 at a time. They work together, like I said, doing cognitive behavioral stuff, doing multiple things. That kind of gives them that group function. Also with, like I said, learning about making changes and so forth. So we definitely appreciate having the opportunity to have group work for our kids in the community. The second is called a Life Skills Enhancement Program. That's also through LCAP. That in essence is individual-based work with kids that are usually of an older age type group where they're working towards employment, working with a life coach in essence, learning skills about being in community, learning how to complete job applications, resumes, those types of things. They're actually getting also community service type work, learning how to gain employment in the community and being able to be out there and be successful members of society and so forth. And so those are we have actually one kid right now we're working on trying to get him enrolled in Slippery Rock through our life coach, and they're helping out with all of the paperwork that is very overwhelming when trying to do stuff like that. So these are things, like I said, that are very important to our level where we're starting to see that we're retaining a higher age level of kid for quite a long period of time. We want to make sure that they're ready to be out in the community and learn how to be successful on their own. So those are the 2 programs that we're requesting that we continue with. And I'll defer back to John for his program.
Oh, before John speaks, if I may. The second program that you discussed, the Life Skills Program, to your knowledge, does that program interact in any way with the Career Link here in town or West Central Job Partnership?
They absolutely can be hooked up with additional services outside of themselves.
Okay.
So if that's a need that's identified with working with that kid individually, absolutely, they're going to be plugged into multiple programs. And also, LCAP has many other programs that they run themselves that they can kind of help with those referrals. So if there's a need that they're also kind of identifying with that kid, they can offer that service as well. But absolutely, Career Link. Some of our kids may not have graduated, where we're maybe hooking them also up with GED classes and so forth and so on. They can absolutely use those as well.
I appreciate that. That's helpful to know.
Right.
I wasn't able to attend our last West Central governing meeting, but the 2 of you were there, and our 3 friends from Mercer County as well. And you see what's allocated, particularly for youth employment. We see that every time we meet. So I'm glad to hear there's a connection.
Our mentors are very much aware of the community aspects and what programming also is out there that they can make those referrals for them to help them in many scopes of their lives, not just that particular one.
Yes.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
I'm just going to talk money. You did an excellent job. In terms of the programs, they're program funded, so their capacity meets our needs. I mean, they're able to take, in my experience, as many kids as we can refer to them. They don't have a gap. Going back to the percentage, the programs, 2 of those programs are 20% each. One is at 5%. One we have as an evidence-based program, so we get a 95-5 share, which, the cost savings is tremendous there. When you look at just that safe parenting program, 95% of it amounts to $130,625. That's picked up by state and federal dollars, leaving $6,875 to the county side. And so all the way around, I'll just add that CYS has been very satisfied with the LCAP programming. We're fortunate to have the quality of service they provide.
Questions so far?
No.
Make that resolution 2020-250.
Number 9, I defer completely to my colleague, as that is only JPO.
This again is an existing contract that we have with Corsoft. They are the provider for our electronic monitoring services. We right now have on the shelf 5 units that we can use at any given time. We also have a 6th one that we can deploy if necessary. However, we would have a per diem charge per day based on whether or not that unit is in service or not. The other nice thing about this company is that we actually also have phones available for our juveniles. So they provide us a cell phone. We're able to provide those to our juveniles to be able to remain in contact with them, to have open communication. We can set reminders and things for them on a calendar on their phones to kind of keep them engaged, make them available for programming and give those the reminders to show up for things like that. One of the things that's been very nice is during this whole COVID thing is that we're able to remain in contact with our juveniles. We were able to give our supervisors, our crew that were working from home also phones at that time, so they were able to keep in contact. They can send text messages. They can also do Zoom with their juveniles over the phone so that we can have face-to-face contact, which we know all was very important during all of this time when we were unfortunately removed, I guess, a bit. So we were able to have, I believe, it says 14, but I think in this contract we were negotiating up to 17 phones, and then having one supervisor phone that we can use also in the field when we work our field shifts. We're able to call kids from the vehicle and tell them, look, we're at your house, come outside, those types of things. And not having to use our personal cell phones to be able to call ID and all of that type of thing. So we're negotiating that. That should be in this contract. So we should go up to 17 phones to have available for juveniles at all times, plus that one supervisor phone, and then 5 electronic monitoring units. So we'd like to, again, stay in contract, I guess, with Corsoft for this year.
When you say electronic monitoring, you mean ankle bracelet?
Yes.
Okay, we need one of those for Joe.
Yes, we have GPS where we can track their whereabouts. We can set parameters of a no-go zone, I guess, if you will. We can set the electronics, so that I guess everything. Like I said, we can set squares, we can set circles, we can make it however large. I know we've had specific court orders where juveniles are not allowed to be on this street, not allowed to be on that street. We can go in and set all of that in there. Like I said, we can have real time where we can find out exactly where they are at any given time and so forth and so on. So it's appreciative having that level of supervision, be able to keep the juvenile in the community, be able to provide services for them, but also have that extra, where are you, what are you doing, making sure they're compliant.
So on their end, if they go into an ozone, does the thing start to beep?
There's different levels. I mean, sometimes it could not. I mean, they all know very well where they're not supposed to be. What would happen is we have a monitoring center capability with the Corsoft that we pay for. That's also in their contracts, and they would be notified. The monitoring center could then call them directly. And say you're in a zone that you're not supposed to be. You need to leave that area, et cetera. Our probation officers monitor that every day on a daily basis, tracking the last 24 hours of where they were, making sure that they're compliant with what they need to do. If not, things could potentially take them into custody, come back to court, and for what the court wishes to do at that point. So.
All right, we'll make that resolution 2020-216 unless there are any objections.
No, and I made note of the fact that they have texting capability.
Are there any extras?
That's an inside joke.
They can supervisor for just a day or two and see how that works.
We're gonna get, they have phones where you can only text like 2-3 numbers.
No, I don't text. I'm probably the only person on the planet that does not text. I prefer to talk to you. I'll do an email, but we joke about that all the time.
Christmas gift's gonna be an iPhone.
Sometimes with our juveniles, that was actually their best way of communicating with us when we were out with COVID. That like they might not answer the phone when you call, but they will text you.
Yes.
So
yes.
we found that
Times that they've changed and
valuable.
the technology is there and we have to go with it,
Yeah.
At least meet them on a level playing field, so, yeah.
All right, what's next?
10A, crosswalks to 1A. This is a renewal for transitional living. $144.62 a day. Ward home is located in Allegheny County. Last year, we had 1 youth there, this year, 1. And the total cost breakdown from last year is $4,226.14 to the county. And total cost picked up by state and fed is $33,230.44, 20% share.
So, any questions?
No.
Questions?
You've got resolution 2020-217. And last up, it looks like we have a Seawell.
Seawell is a program that I don't know how long the county has participated. The child welfare,
Probably about 10 years, I think.
Okay.
We've been doing this for quite some time. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, that's helpful, Commissioner, thank you.
I hope I'm right. But
Well, they had Seawell back when I started here and I've been here 16 years.
okay.
So I know it's at least 16, not to correct you.
Oh, that's good.
I know that
Thank you.
it's,
Yes.
it's at least that long because people were going to Seawell for education. So
Okay.
Thank you.
So Seawell is a program in which the state contracts with the University of Pittsburgh to provide learning opportunities to county child welfare agencies. And for us, we have 2 staff every year that attend this program. Always a first year and second year student that go into the master's program through the School of Social Work. And they come back to us in the summertime in between year 1 and 2. They serve in typically capacity of casework, and then they go back in early to mid-August and finish out that second year. And then they owe the county the number of months or tenure that they put through school. So typically between 20 and 24 months post-graduation, and they owe that time to the county, or again, they owe repayment for the program back to the University of Pittsburgh, not to the county. In terms of the agency, what I've been able to gather, it seems like for some time, everybody that comes up on the seniority list have the opportunity to do so, takes advantage of that program. It's been quite some time since the agency did not have 2 people to send, and then contractually for the program, our collective bargaining agreement allows for 2 temporary workers to backfill those 2 staff members that go away from school.
So just so I understand the program entirely, there's a cost associated with a master's program. Who pays that cost?
That cost comes through the contract that the state has with the University of Pittsburgh to be able to offer the program to child welfare.
Okay, and at the same time at which they're going through that master's program, they're also receiving their salary benefits.
Correct.
Okay. And do you see when they come back from this program, do you see a substantial improvement in their performance?
It's too early, Commissioner, into my tenure to be able truly to speak much to that, but I will say they come back very refreshed.
Yeah.
Child welfare, the nature of it is very unpredictable, very high pace. The caseworkers experience, all of the things that come along with a high-risk family. The drug and alcohol concerns, the mental health concerns, some of the family dysfunction. And so I do see when the staff come back, whether it be in between year 1 and 2, or when they fully come back, they definitely are recharged and seem 100% ready to go to step back into the role that either they had before or the new role that they're working into. In terms of learning development, I will say that they are better positioned in terms of family systems. The social work program through the University of Pittsburgh really prepares the staff to understand family systems and the dynamics that go into impacting the kids and the families that we serve. So in that regard, I feel like we provide information to our staff that don't have that knowledge base and may not naturally get it through the foundations training. Because family systems isn't a part of their foundations training through the state. So that in itself is helpful to have multiple staff members that understand trauma, understand the dynamics of blended families, and many of the things in the account.
Any other questions, comments? Make that resolution 2020-218. I will note actually that, just a fun fact, the mayor of Newcastle is a graduate of Pittsburgh Social Work Master's Program. All right, thank you guys, both of you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to stick around, you're welcome to it, but we understand if you have somewhere else to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, what we'll do here, we'll take a motion to amend the agenda to account for those voting items, then we'll vote on the transfers, then we'll vote on the resolution. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan, so moved.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
At the same time, motion carries. Agenda amended. Up next, we have two transfers, administrative transfers, which means they're transfers internally within one department's budget from one line item in that department's budget to another line item in that department's budget. As a result of that, we don't need a formal resolution, we just need a motion to transfer the funds. First on deck, we have a transfer in our Department of Voter Services to cover the costs of copier lease and phone lease through the end of the year, where they're moving money from their contingency account in the amount of $1,000 to their equipment maintenance account. I'll take a motion on that.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. And up next, we have a transfer relating to our COVID-19 funding. When we initially got this funding, we put it into different categories. A contingency account, for example, a business grant account, a nonprofit grant account, a municipal funding account, a couple other miscellaneous items. This is a transfer of $1 million from the COVID contingency account to an account that was just set up to allow for county expenses under the COVID dollars. So in other words, if we were to have the building sanitized, or as we have had the building sanitized, the reimbursement for that,
Yes.
or the payment for that would come out of this account specifically. And so we're transferring $1 million from COVID-19 contingency to county COVID expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the voting portion of the agenda, and we'll move through these as expeditiously as possible. First on deck, Resolution 2020-208, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that authorization is given to chairman to execute an agreement and any amendments with Nelcom Technologies to provide firewall, antivirus, and anti-spyware protection, content filtering, and 24/7 support and updates. Cost shall be $17,289 for the period of August 10th, 2020 through August 9th, 2023. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-209, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that Lawrence County enter an agreement with Pension Technology Group to develop, maintain, and host a retirement system used by the Lawrence County Controller's Office to process and manage Lawrence County Employees Retirement Fund. I'll note that the cost of this contract comes out of the retirement fund. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-210. Now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners will sign a deed of easement to grant the use of a portion of the property described in such deed with the waiver rate of compensation for transfer. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-211. Now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that authorization is hereby given to appropriate administrative officials to transfer a total of $713,949 described in detail on the attachment designated T-2020-005. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We know this one's Jeff because it's long.
Oh, that's long as some of the other ones.
No, I very much appreciate that.
Don't friend, quit fighting.
Resolution 2020-212, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners in consideration of mutual promises, covenants, and agreements, and the parties hereto intend to be legally bound to hereby agree and consent for themselves, their successors, and the signs as follows. You can just do now therefore be it resolved.
You know she's a paralegal, right? So
I did not know that.
Yes.
that's why they're like.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Yes.
1, firefighter agrees to provide the services set forth in firefighter sales and service co-agreement attached here to marks attachment A. The services to be provided by firefighter sales and pursuant to this agreement are set forth in the documents attached here to and identified as portable fire extinguisher service pricing and marked as Exhibit B. For services provided by firefighter, county agrees to pay firefighter the amount set forth in attachment A within 30 days and acceptance that is set forth herein. The terms, conditions, and provisions of this agreement shall remain in full force and effect and are incorporated herein by reference. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Questions on the motion? Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-213, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, the purchase of service agreement of the provider Cornell at Praxis Group shall be in effect for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. Costs are only incurred for the provider of services being used by Lawrence County per the agreement. Authorization is hereby given to execute the agreement with the following service provider, Cornell at Praxis Group Incorporated, 2840 Liberty Avenue, Suite 300, Pittsburgh, PA 15222. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-214, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. The purchase service agreement of the provider Presley Ridge shall be in effect for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. Costs are only incurred for provider of services being used by Lawrence County per the agreement. Authorization is hereby given to execute an agreement with the following service provider Presley Ridge, 530 Marshall Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15217. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-215, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Purchase service agreement under the provider of Lawrence County Community Action Partnership shall be in effect for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. Costs are only incurred for provider of service agreements being used by Lawrence County per the agreement. Authorization is hereby given to execute the agreement with the following service provider, Lawrence County Community Action Partnership, 241 West Grand Street, Newcastle, PA 16101. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
The motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-216, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Purchase service agreement under the provider Corsoft LLC shall be in effect for a period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. Costs are only incurred for provider of services being used by Lawrence County per the agreement. Authorization is hereby given to execute the agreement with the following service provider Corsoft LLC, 1648 McGrathiana Parkway, Lexington, Kentucky 40511. We have a motion.
Moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-217, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Purchase service agreement of the provider Ward Home Incorporated shall be in effect for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. Costs are only incurred for provider services being used by Lawrence County per the agreement. Authorization is hereby given to execute the agreement with the following service provider Ward Home Incorporated, 1101 Hartman Street, Keysport, PA 15132. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And finally, Resolution 2020-218, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, and authorization is hereby given to Ashley Carr to participate in the Seawell program as outlined in this attachment. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have no ordinances on the table, no ordinances for introduction, no ordinances for final action announcements. There will be a prison board meeting tomorrow, which is Wednesday,
29th.
Wednesday the 29th at noon in this room. And the next regularly scheduled commissioners meeting shall be for 10 a.m. on Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. When are we officially off for CCAP? Is that the week following next?
It is the, my goodness, I believe it's the 18th.
17th and 18th.
Yeah, 17th. We'll be here, but CCAP will be having their meeting virtually.
Right.
So when we did the original schedule at the beginning of the year, we didn't schedule a meeting
Anything,
for
right.
the 18th because of the CCAP conference.
Yes.
In fact, Commissioner Boyd and I were talking about that. Of the 2 days, the 17th and the 18th. The 18th, it looks as though there are voting matters.
Okay.
The 17th is a little more we listen to what they
Yes.
have to present, but on the 18th, we do have voting matters. So
Okay.
this time, I'd suggest we continue to forego the meeting that day,
Sure.
assuming the two of you want to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hey,
Yes, that's
we've got to reelect him to Region 2 representative.
There you go.
Yeah, that's one of the things on.
Okay, absolutely.
And that's, we're happy to do that. And that's the reason why I turned to Dan to ask Dan what time to call, what
Right.
conferences are on, is because Dan is a member of the board meeting as well.
We need to have that,
Service.
yes,
Thank you very much.
absolutely. Okay.
Any additional public comments?
I have a question.
Oh, there we go. What do you got?
Okay.
The pension technology group, are they just assuming the administration of it, or are they doing asset management of the retirement funds?
It's the asset management as far as our investments in that.
Yes,
That is not gonna be pension technology. They're
So it's
just,
You're
they're
on
just
the
a
right, we
software
heard you.
company.
yeah, okay,
Provides us the software to do our checks, to do members, to do
Gotcha.
contributions, the whole gambit of
Yeah.
retirement.
okay.
With the exception of the investments.
Okay.
Because investments are done elsewhere.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Any other public comments? All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. And thank board commissioners is adjourned.
Very good. Thank you.
He said we're
Rhonda, good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Right.
An auctioneer.
Last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
That's my
Last week.
Last time,
auctioneer.
it was in Harrisburg.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got them down at Duke's auction barn on Friday night.
There you go.
Take care, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Stacey.
Bye,
Yeah, good seeing
everybody.
everybody. Yes.
Bye, Rhonda.